What's going on? Welcome back. Ryan here. In this video, we're wrapping up this section, which is the option strategies. And I'm briefly just going to run through everything that we learned to really give us a full scope of what we've learned and just how important these strategies are, right? So again, everything with options trading has to do with, again, controlling ourselves, making good decisions, making sure we're in control of the risk and that we're not gambling, we're not just going by our emotions, that we're using logic and math to put these trades in our favor. And remember, there are lots of option strategies, right? As we've seen, there's all of these different combinations of the calls and the puts, and the ability to sell the calls and sell the puts, right? And the different ways that we can combine them. And it's super important to, when we're looking at, making money, growing our account, I think that the best policy for you, and no matter what it is you're going to do, is to keep it as simple as possible, right? And what that really means is being very present in the market to what we're looking at, right? Again, understanding the different time frames that trades can play out on, and that, as always, right, when we look at different data, the people who hold long term they always seem to outperform these day traders, right, who are trading daily. And it's not to say that there aren't day traders making money and there are not people who are making a lot of money by taking day trades. It's just to say that you can make it easier for yourself by focusing on something that's going to have a larger impact, which would be, right, saving money, creating new income streams, creating a business, having more than one side hustle. And then when we come to the market to try to compound all of our money and get our money working for us, that not only do we understand all of the options that we have in terms of like assets themselves and financial products themselves, but then we also understand all of the derivatives and just having a really great overview of the way all of these markets work, right? And in this section, again, we talked about all these strategies, and the way that I'm trying to wrap this up for you is, like, you want to keep things simple, right? You want to trade these larger time scales, and when we start to do that, when we start to think like that, it's important that we don't put strategies on that don't make sense for what our outlook is or what we're trying to do. Now, again, when I talked about the long calls and the long puts, right, the most money that you're going to make is always buying calls and buying puts, right? Because they're leveraged, because they're worth 100 shares. When something like Amazon or any of these companies make large moves and you're using options, that's always where you're going to see your largest percent gains, right? And it's a combination of understanding when we should buy options and when we should sell options, right? And a lot of that has to do with just the way we look at the market, right? Where when we come into these option chains and we're looking at the implied volatility versus maybe what the historical volatility is doing, or if we're doing earnings plays or whatever it is, maybe we want to try to get something at a discount, so we use cash secured puts. Maybe you already own lots of shares of a certain company and you want to add income, so you sell covered calls, right? All of these different option strategies we've talked about each have their own distinct use case and application, and that is what's most important, is identifying what's happening in the market with the underlying asset, and then being creative and skilled and informed and educated enough to then construct the right strategy or pick the right option strategy that's going to give us the best chance at winning, right? Because at the end of the day, I mean, we could talk about all these option strategies, and we could talk about all this insight, and we can look at all of the application and all of these different things, but as time will tell, and as you'll experience on your own, we could have the greatest assumption, we could have all the knowledge about the option, we could put the trade on with the best risk to reward ratio, right? And we can still lose, right? Because there's no guarantees. And that's a really important concept to understand, is like, you could do everything right and it still might not work out. And so how do you overcome that? Well, you overcome that by obviously not over trading, not using more risk than necessary, right? Being disciplined to understand, okay, maybe if the trade's not working in your favor, right, that it might be time to close out the trade and look for another opportunity. And then on top of that, when things do go in our favor and we are making good decisions and we do have a solid understanding, that when we start to win, that we take that money off of the table, right? We don't want to allow ourselves to lose money when we don't have to, especially when we had a trade that was a winner. I can't tell you how many times I've experienced this myself in my own learning curve, where I've fallen victim to greed, right? Where you have an assumption, you put the trade on, it starts to work out in your favor, and you're so happy because you're making money and it's looking great, and you don't have the discipline to like be happy that it's a winner, be happy you executed it the right way, be happy with whatever the result was, and just take that money, enjoy it, and then start to look for a new scenario to profit off of, right? And what happens instead? We think that it's going to keep going forever, and then what happens? In a few days, the market makes a adverse move against our position, and now instead of having, a 20 to 80% winner, whatever it is, you're now looking at having, a 50% loser, where you've lost now half of the money you've put up in premium, or the credit that you've sold goes against you, whatever it may be. And that's really the trick to this whole game, right? I could tell you about the options and the strategies and all of these things, but when it all starts to come together, as you're going to see, the biggest enemy you're going to face is going to be yourself, right? Your own discipline, your own ability to manage your greed and your fear and the way that you respond to these markets. And I just want to keep, talking about these very important concepts and principles throughout this entire masterclass, because not only do I know where I have failed in my own trading and the mistakes that I've made, but I constantly see this when I look into the world of finance and education, and I see people losing, and it's always the same scenario, right? It's either the fear gets them and they make too many adjustments and they lose that way, or they're too greedy and they can't take profits quick enough, or they're just not applying the strategies correctly, right? They're buying these short-term options with little to no time value, and buying these out of the money options with little to no time, where you're just going to get smashed time in and time out, because you're not using all the information you have to put the math in your favor, right? So again, I'm super thrilled you're applying yourself. I really, really, really hope that the way that I'm framing this for you, and the insight that I'm giving you, not only into options trading as a whole, but investing and saving money, and applying yourselves and understanding where we're going to lose money trading options, right? It's always in not applying the strategy correctly, not buying enough time, not controlling ourselves, not having a plan. And I know that no matter who you are, no matter how great of a trader or investor you are at this time, if you listen to these insights, if you apply yourself, if you take what I say and diligently study and take what I say to heart, I know that you're going to have massive results, right? Because I have just seen these failures, over and over and over again, right? Through me learning the hard way and actually experiencing this myself, and also watching other people and seeing other people fail from the exact same things I have, right? So uh, we want to limit our risk at all times, and we want to maximize our profits at all times. And the only way we can do this is by constantly working on this, constantly educating ourselves, being able to understand the options, understand the strategies, when to apply them, and then obviously most important is to control ourselves so that we can make the best decisions. So again, I hope this section has found you well. I hope that it's helped you. Again, if you have any questions, if you have anything you want to talk about, reach out to me. Again, I love doing one-on-one sessions. I love mentoring people. I have other products and things that I can deliver to you. And again, it all depends on you and what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve, right? Because again, there are no guarantees. Again, I don't know your scenario, right? So this isn't trading advice. This isn't finance advice. It's not me telling you what trades to make. It's me simply giving you insight into the mechanics and the way that this works, and giving you all of the tools that you need to be able to make these high quality decisions. Because at the end of the day, nobody is going to make you make the right decision, right? It's different if you're working with an experienced broker or trader who is trading your money for you, right? In that structured agreement, right? Where they are exercising discretion over your account and your money, and they're walking you through exactly the trades they're doing and why they're doing them, and they're doing them on your behalf, right? Where they're getting a potential management fee and a potential part of the profits, right? But this is not that, right? This is me simply giving you insight, giving you knowledge into how this works, right? Where you're going to fail, where you're going to succeed. And again, it all comes back to you, right? I can't make you make good decisions. Nobody can make anybody make good decisions, right? That's why nobody can really guarantee anybody anything, right? All the coaches online and sure, they can have money back guarantees and they can try to guarantee you all these things. But at the end of the day, they can't make you do the work, right? They can't make you study. They can't make you make good decisions. So it's really important to understand that. And again, I could talk for hours and hours and hours on this stuff. I love talking about it. I love thinking about it. That's the whole reason I'm doing this, is because I love it so much and I want to help people. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out at any time, and I will do my best to answer all of your questions. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.